Welcome to Sharma Strength and Performance Podcast. Today, I will be presenting you one of the strongest guys I have met in my life and the smartest one, Tejas Jaishankar. Please take over.
Hello, I'm
So,
Tejas Vijayashankar. So
yeah.
I compete in powerlifting and strongman. I mostly work as a coach, and I also am involved with a fitness institute called IIFAM. I mostly work on syllabus development.
And myself, Ishan Sharma, your host. Uh, I have worked as a lecturer with Tejas in past. I compete in strongman and powerlifting. I come from athletic background. I used to compete in combat sports. And today we are going to keep this podcast a bit chilled out. It is not going to be very in-depth training discussion. Uh, let's go on and talk about a little bit about the recent topics that has been happening in the athletic and the strength world.
Mm.
So what are your views on the 501 deadlift, 501 kilogram deadlift by Hafthor Bjornsson recently?
First of all, it's an incredible feat of strength. You know, I like we thought that the 500 kg limit would stay standing for a lot longer, and it is nice to see it broken this quickly again. I was watching some comparison videos of Eddie Hall's 500 and Hafthor's 501, and though I would have to say that Eddie Hall's was a bit faster, okay, and
Yeah,
maybe a more strict powerlifting deadlift, so to speak, like
a
he didn't
bit
hitch
more
the bar at
smooth
all.
in terms of
Yeah,
powerlifting, huh?
yeah, no, he didn't hitch the bar at all. Hafthor definitely did a bit of a hitch, though.
Mhm.
Of course, strongman allows that, and he's well within the rights to take full advantage of that.
Mhm.
I guess my main takeaway from this is that once a barrier is broken, typically other people will break it too. You know,
Just like the
and
something mile barrier too.
the 4 minute mile, okay, and even the first 1,000 pound squat as broken by Fred Hatfield, or even the 1,000 pound deadlift number first broken by Andy. All these were numbers that stood for a very long time, but as soon as they were breached, like a number of people came up and took its
A
place.
lot of people broke that
Yeah,
again.
so I guess we are going to see that phenomenon now soon. You know.
Hmm.
Hmm.
A lot of natty lifters are going to pull 300 like you did in the meet, in India at least. That was an amazing feat of strength, man, honestly.
Thank you, but in my mind, it's a very mediocre lift at best. While I was happy with the way things went, and more importantly, I didn't peak for that meet at all.
Yeah,
Like I literally, the meet was on Saturday, and I lifted last on Thursday.
you were just
So
hitting joker singles, no, of the 531
yeah, yeah.
before that.
So I was happy. Yeah, it couldn't have gone better as such, and I did manage a 310 after that later in training. But
Mhm.
I do want to be able to deadlift around 350, 360 if I hope to be competitive in the 105 class in
Equipped or
strongman.
raw?
Raw.
Raw.
Again, I'm basing one of the reasons why I'm not interested in competing equipped is because I also want to compete in strongman, and equipped lifting doesn't particularly help that sport.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I see. So, and what are your views on the recent boxing match that has been announced between Hafthor Bjornsson and Eddie Hall in September?
Nice, nice. It's going to probably be a fixed match, in the sense that
I
they're
wish
probably going
it's
to
a
have a
fixed
stretch.
match, man, because I care for their health. They're two big, explosive dudes with no experience in combat sports. They can really get hurt.
Though if I had to give an edge to someone, I'd say Eddie Hall would beat Hafthor. Okay,
Uh-huh.
Hafthor definitely has more reach. Like his arms are longer and he can punch. He can probably punch further. But Eddie Hall does seem generally faster. Okay,
Yeah.
and he does seem to have better grip strength. Like as when you see the farmer walks events and all over the past few years. So I feel like he might be able to transition to boxing a little better. Because at the end of the day, they do have a few months to prepare. Though God knows how much they'll actually prepare. And again, I honestly feel like this is going to be a fixed match because it's more of a publicity stunt. And to be frank, it's good for the sport. Like there's nothing wrong
It's
with that.
amazing for the sport. That is what someone
Yeah.
was asking me on Facebook in the morning. I told him my views are mixed. I have mixed feelings about this one. I
Mhm.
have mixed feelings because I honestly wish it's a fixed match because I like both of the athletes. They are amazing athletes. I've grown up watching them. I idolize them. I do not want any of them getting hurt because realistically speaking, none of them have. real combat sports experience, and then you put them into a bout where like they are probably some of the hardest, pro- possibly hardest hitters of the planet.
We don't
Um,
know that. We
we
don't know
don't know
that. But
that,
they
but
mean
like,
nothing. You know?
but your general strength tend to carry over, and they are pretty
Again,
athletic guys. It's not like
I
they're
would
not
argue
athletic.
with that. I would argue
Mhm.
with that because you remember Maruis Pudzianowski, he got into wrestling and stuff after he quit strongman. Yeah,
Yeah.
he wasn't that successful. I
He
wouldn't say
wasn't,
that.
but still, he had a hell of an overhand right, and I have watched his fights. If he would connect hard. And
Uh,
I would go on to say Mariusz Pudzianowski. Eddie Hall is a much more of a Pudzianowski kind of a guy in terms of if we compare between him and Hofthor. So in that sense, he had a hell of an overhand, right? I remember him beating some Gracie. I don't know, man. There's a lot of Gracies, right? Just koi bhi wahan ka banda hai, they're just Gracies. So this was some Gracie. He knocked out, and I'm pretty sure it was just an overhand right. It did not take much technique. So yes, I'm not saying again. I have grown in combat sports only. Strength sports is relatively a recent thing to me, but honestly, being strong does help. And if you're just relatively more athletic, it tends to carry over. If you know how to,
we are comparing two inexperienced fighters, okay, and
yeah,
neither of them
that
are
is
going
why
to have
I'm
particularly
saying
better
that
technique.
they can really hit each other hard. That is why I'm scared, because even if they just tend to hit each other hard without technique, they can get hurt, and I do not want any of this
But
fractures
again, I don't think any of that's going to
from a
happen,
strong
man.
man.
Okay, like I think you're worrying about these things too much. At the end of the day, you know, this is more of a publicity stunt. It's kind of like that
Mhm.
whole that History Channel special that Eddie Hall had done recently. Okay, like I'm sure he wasn't taking any real risks with his body, and he shouldn't
They
have
not, yeah,
environment.
they should.
Yeah.
Right. And how have your training been, man?
Not bad. Overall, see, in the middle, like after nationals last year, actually after Delhi State last year, I had a very bad crash in strength. Okay, which
So tell them
kind of
about the powerlifting or the strongman.
this is a
The
powerlifting.
listeners don't.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
powerlifting
sure.
meet, yeah.
In Delhi State, actually, see, before Delhi State, I had totaled a very strong 710 kgs
Uh-huh.
under fairly competitive conditions in the gym. Okay. So, matlab, I had guys, referees and stuff like that. So, you know, it was a fairly legal,
I
depth
remember it is
depth
from
and power.
the Netaji club we are talking about, right?
Yeah. And
Mm.
so I had squatted 250, deadlifted 310, and yeah, bench pressed 150. Okay. And I was pretty happy with those numbers. But sometime around June, July, my strength dropped like crazy.
Mhm.
I was losing weight, but I also think I fell into like a very bad cycle of stress at work. And
Yeah.
that definitely cost me a lot of strength. And by Delhi State, about 3 months down the line, I had come down to a 650 kg total. And I failed to total 600 in nationals, which was a very big disappointment for me because if I had totaled my 710 over there, I would have been a placeholder for sure. But things happen. You can't have these things. And honestly, I feel like my strength dipped even further after nationals, and especially because I had to abandon power squatting after the elbow and wrist problems it created.
Hmm.
So sometime around November, I kind of sort of gave up on 531 as a training system and
Hmm.
started moving more towards weightlifting and bodyweight exercises. And it was, yeah, really important to me to sort of master some of the basic bodyweight exercises that I was really good at earlier in my life. I used to be good at front levers and I could do muscle ups and stuff like that. So I wanted to be able to remaster all these things, and I've had good progress in that regard. Especially handstand stuff has really improved. And
Hmm.
more importantly, a weightlifting style training where I'm squatting and weightlifting more or less every day really proved productive for me because I was suffering from progressively worse knee and hip injuries. Like
Hmm.
this kind of happened actually early last year, and then towards the end of last year, it got really worse to the point where by January, I couldn't really sit beyond 5 minutes beyond having severe hip cramps or knee pain. And
Hmm.
like couldn't sleep because my hip would hurt. I couldn't stand because my hip would hurt. Like everything was just always in pain.
Even last year, I remember your hips were cramping just while
Yeah, it
sitting.
had, it had started at that point of time, but it got really bad by the end of the year. And so I kind of diverted all my attention to that and just trying to squat every day because that seemed to be helping the problem. I think it was helping my mobility. And I started modifying my system to accommodate more and more weightlifting. And again, weightlifting is of course very squat centric in terms of the positions that are required, and the mobility work that it provided did help me recover from the injuries. But to be fair, it's only around, I would say, mid-March when I started having some breakthroughs with my pain. And I started understanding that one of the reasons why I was having this issue was because my TFL was overworked. And it's a funny thing how much of a difference a diagram can make, because I've been using the physiotherapy manuals that were available online, or the booklets that I had, in order to analyze the position of the TFL and its function. But I couldn't really, I didn't make too much headway using that approach, because by that logic, I had to keep strengthening the TFL to the point where it could take the load. And I will not say it was an entire failure, but it definitely wasn't, it wasn't getting much better, you know. Only when I picked up one of these old books from the 1980s, I have like an old anatomy textbook that I have from since like when I was a kid, which my father got from someone, someone gifted him when he was younger. And that book had a very good diagram showing the connection of the TFL to the glutes and the, and the kya kehte hai, IT band. And
Modern books do not have diagrams.
no, they do have diagrams. It's just the quality of diagram was better.
The quality of diagram.
Basically, the diagram in the older book was based on a more muscular person. Okay. Whereas the modern diagrams that I found were mostly based on smaller people. And for whatever reason, you could not tell the, the angle of the muscle very well with the less developed individuals, and that really made a huge difference to me. Yeah, because then I started realizing that the problem wasn't that the TFL was weak, but that the glutes were not assisting the TFL. And and then I started implementing a lot of glute work. Like I was basically doing barbell hip thrusts, one-legged exercises and stuff like that daily. And I would say in the last 2-3 weeks now, the pain has more or less disappeared. Like I still have some pain when sleeping, but that has been a considerable improvement. And also my upper body strength seems to be coming back, as does my gymnastic strength. So now I'd say I'm back to like where I was at Delhi State, where I could, where I'm confident of like a 650, 660 kg total. But I want to give it another 2-3 months and hopefully get back to full strength.
Yeah. Just till the quarantine ends, you will be superpower 2020.
Let's see. See, another thing is that long term, I don't want to exceed the 105 class for both powerlifting and strongman. So I'm a little wary of that, because I do feel I don't have the bone size to accommodate more muscle than 100.
You're pretty big, man. You're pretty tall.
I'm not like that. That was one of the revelations that happened to me when I went to Calcutta last year. So I was a referee for the Strongman World Series, as conducted by Strongman India. And over there, I was able to meet Zaidunis Savikas, who's incidentally one of my great strongman heroes. And I was able to chat with him for quite a while, almost one just sitting with him over there. So yeah, that was a really great experience. But one of the things I did notice is that he just is by structurally so much larger than me, even though our height was more or less identical. Like I'd say he was only maybe like
a short, strong man, no?
Yeah, but he was maybe an inch taller than me. Okay. But it's not that. It's like the elbows, the wrists, the ankles, even his jawline and all was so much bigger than
the natural bone density is too much.
Bone size, like the whole frame is just so much bigger. Even his biacromial width is like twice my size. So, I don't think I can realistically hold on to that kind of muscle, even if I tried. So my goal here is to be like 105 at 10% or 12% body fat competitively. So right now I'm sitting at a much higher fat percentage. I'm around 102 and I'd say I'm around 16 or 17% body fat. So one of my goals right now is to just get down to 10% body fat. Maybe I'll be 98.
You're looking leaner.
7.
Thank you. Your face looks leaner than when we met a few months back.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So that time after that in the middle I went down all the way to like 96, and maybe around 12% body fat. But I've regained a lot of weight again. But yeah, I want to get to the stage where I'm sort of stable at around 10-12% and then start gaining weight. So I'll have to keep these considerations in mind.
Stable 10-12% at your strength levels is pretty hard, no?
I don't know. Like I do feel like after a certain point the fat's not helping. Especially if you're a raw lifter. Maybe the fat helps as an equipped lifter. I can't speak for say that for sure, having not done too much equipped lifting.
So ideally, most of the raw lifters should stay decently lean, just not obesely fat.
See, I think that if you're a raw lifter, you rely on your muscles to provide protection, muscle size to provide protection to your joints. Okay.
Okay.
In that sense, being fat is not particularly helpful because it's not providing any condition or protection that will actually help you perform better. In equipped lifting, I think a lot of it is to do with the pressure that the suit generates. And being a little fat or even bloated really does help create more pressure. At least with the, so I have a Inzer TRX suit, and I also own one of the tighter, one of the more advanced Rage HD Blast shirts, which is the again Inzer bench shirt. And definitely when I'm fatter, I'm stronger in those, but I'm weaker as a raw lifter. And
I,
also, maybe this is just me, but strongman does require you to be somewhat fast, and you tend to get winded a little faster if you're fatter.
yeah,
Yeah,
indeed.
and as a person who's mostly natural, okay, you have to also take into consideration the recovery requirements of being more fat. Like I think that having a higher fat percentage does cut down on your rate of recovery, and it's more efficient to be lean. Mm.
Hmm. And it's more healthier to be lean, but most of the times when we are into any sort of competitive athletic endeavor, we completely forget the health aspect. Like I haven't taken care of it. See, honestly, I never thought the importance of health is that much important until we started training together. Uh,
See, I will say this, okay, 50, for me, reaching a 10-12% stable body fat probably has less to do with health and more to do with maxing out a weight class, you know.
hmm.
Whereas from a health perspective, I think anything below 15 is probably fine. I don't
Anything
realistically
below is
need to.
15 is fine, but realistically
Mm.
speaking, it's pretty hard to just maintain weight because honestly speaking, dieting does not only the ones who are competing in the aesthetic based endeavors, the ones who are competing in like performance based endeavors at times just to maximize the performance,
Mhm.
sometimes it becomes a bit hard.
Sure, sure. Mm.
Hmm? So with that, I would say let's keep the today's podcast a bit short, and that would be about 15-20 minute podcast for us for today. Okay, and I hope to do longer podcasts from next time, and hope the listeners enjoy it. They learn something from it. We will be doing much more of it from now on. Hopefully, we will be doing week at least I'll be doing, and hopefully at least once a week I will be having you as the co-host or the
Mhm.
guest of the podcast. So that's it. Signing off. Sharma Strength and Performance. Done.